Let's play La Boo Boo.
I'm watching Battle of the Branded video games by the same guy who made McDonald's in a nutshell.
Congratulations, by the way. We have one objective. You created a product. Come to the 1990s. Nirvana on the radio. This thing called the internet was kicking about. The internet gave us a whole world of exciting new possibilities. And everybody was loving this hairstyle. But more importantly, the video game industry was booming. And I mean, it was going crazy. Look at this. And this. And this.
Might watch.
Wow. Wow. You guys wanted consoles? Sure, take them. They're all yours.
I'm gonna watch.
Break your legs. So it only made sense that every man and his dog at the time wanted to hop on the gaming bandwagon and ride that shit straight to success. And I'll tell you, the weather was looking good. And with junk food and fast food chains also being pretty huge in the commercial sphere at the time, being plastered all over TV, the crossover was just waiting to happen. Cue the introduction of the Adver game. What the hell?
So, can we watch the sword fighting?
Pepsi Man. Pepsi's very own contribution to the Adver game wave of the early 90s to the mid-2000s. Japanese game developers, KID, were tasked with creating a game based around Pepsi's mascot, the inventively named Pepsi Man.
Pepsi bottle?
Now, if you're wondering why you've never heard of Pepsi Man, there's a good reason for that. He only ever really existed in Japan, appearing in 13 TV commercials, where from what I can gather, he sprints up to people, makes Pepsi appear out of thin air, and then kind of clumsily stumbles into something.
Pepsi sold out.
La Boo Boo Horror now.
He's depicted as a sort of superhero figure that resembles a knockoff Silver Surfer, with a Pepsi logo on his chest and a bling-in chain around his neck. It was KID employee Kotaro Uchikoshi who was responsible for making Pepsi Man's 3D model in the game. The game basically consisted of the player controlling Pepsi Man, with the aim to set the rainbow itself.
The people.
He sprints up to people, Texas, and
see.
basically consisted of the player controlling Pepsi Man, with the aim to save a number of dehydrated individuals by delivering them a can of refreshing Pepsi. Maneuvering Pepsi Man through such well-known locations as San Francisco, New York, Texas, and in the later part of the game, Pepsi City, which, as we all know, is right next to Boston.
I'm from Boston.
The mechanics
Pepsi
of
City.
dodged and jumped over a number of moving objects, collecting Pepsi cans along the way to rack up points, occasionally smashing through people's houses, because nothing says a nice can of refreshing Pepsi more than home invasion. But every time you visit the stage, the game would include a number of weird cutscenes where Canadian actor Mike Butters played a man that was obsessed with Pepsi, I guess.
How about Pepsi? No.
Now, it actually turns out that Mike played a minor character in a number of the Saw movies, as well as bagging a role in Titanic, where he played an uncredited musician/baker. Now, I'm not entirely sure if that's a musician and a baker as two separate characters, or a hybrid baker and a jazz band. But either way, it seems that his role in Pepsi Man really was his magnum opus.
Pepsi for TV game.
Now, despite Pepsi Man being based off a Japanese mascot being developed by a Japanese game company,
We're playing the La Boo Boo Horror.
the game was completely in English.
Hey, let's start the game.
And much like the Japanese commercials, had an extremely American feel,
Approximately.
especially in its
1 second.
setting. Now, all of this might have made sense if the game would have had a global release, but it ended up being released in Japan on March 4th, 1999 to the PlayStation.
Hey, La Boo Boos. Why do you have Mr. Beast as your thing?
It remained a Japanese exclusive.
Why is it Mr. Beast?
I don't know.
Why do you have Mr. Beast as your thing?
reception of Pepsi Man, it got mixed reviews from critics. Famitsu compared it to Crash Bandicoot, IGN compared it to Crash Bandicoot, and Alistair Pinsoff of Destructoid stated that the game was charmingly brain dead, and then compared it to Crash Bandicoot. GameFan gave it a 90 out of 100, Gamers Republic gave it a B-, and Joypad Magazine gave it a 2 out of 10. But most importantly, Kotaro Uchikoshi himself left his own take on the game. The very game which he designed the character model for, playing a huge role in the game's creation, leaving the beautiful, heartfelt statement. The game did not sell well. Now, believe it or not, the game is actually still pretty regularly speedrun to this day, even making the odd appearance at GDQ over the past few years. But sadly, this seems to be the only thing that is keeping Pepsi Man's name alive. Now, I couldn't find any reports on if the creation or sale of the video game actually caused any boost in sales of Pepsi the beverage, but besides the fuck ton of cans Mike Butters consumed in the final cutscene of the game, I'm going to assume it didn't.
Pepsi for pizza.
Now, whilst that may be the end of the Pepsi Man story, as for Adva Games, it's just the beginning. In fact, we've only scraped the bottom of the barrel. Do you own a copy of the smash hit AAA fantasy RPG title by Bethesda, Elder Scrolls V Skyrim? Well, if you do, uninstall it or throw your copy in the trash, because I'm here to tell you that there is another fantasy game out there that outshines Skyrim in every way possible. A better storyline, better graphics, better environmental design, and it's known as Darkened Sky. Originally released for PC in 2002, then soon being ported over to the GameCube that same year, packaged alongside Outlaw Gold for some reason, Darkened Sky follows the protagonist, Sky.
You, as always. Where are you?
Where are you? Sky soon meets her gargoyle companion, Drac. It turns out that evil wizard Necron has taken the rainbow out of the sky, sucking the world of all bright colour. He also gathered up every single power crystal from across the land and took them for himself, practically rendering magic impossible. But Sky soon finds out that a small number of these power crystals still remain, and if found, will grant her magical abilities. So you, the player, lead Sky and Drac on a quest to bring the rainbow back, completing a number of NPC tasks, puzzles, and taking on parkour challenges, using your magic staff to defeat different foes along the way. Eventually, Sky makes it to Necrot's lair. She's reunited with her mother. Drac the gargoyle turns out to really be a human. Sky finds out her dad is a three-headed dragon, kills him, takes down Necrot, shoots someone with a rainbow spell, makes out with Drac, restores the rainbow back into the sky, and everyone lives happily ever after. And yeah, that's it really for Darkened Sky, except it isn't. Actually, I have a confession to make. I may have lied to you guys. I pulled a little prank, you know? Because those power crystals that Necrot gathered weren't power crystals. In fact, they weren't crystals at all. They were Skittles.
The delicious Skittles not saying some little pissed on eat right now.
Yes, you heard me right. In the land that Darkened Sky takes place in, Skittles are the key to the universe, raining down from the rainbow itself.
The people knew magic then. It was Skittles what fueled that magic.
You sound like straight up product placement.
You collect these Skittles as the game goes on, harnessing their power to learn and use a number of different spells.
Skittles. Mysteriously unaffected by centuries of digestive activity. You see, marketing didn't want us to show us Skittles all narfed up from stomach juices, so they decided, I'll shut up now.
So where exactly did this strange fantasy Skittles collaboration come from? Well, YouTuber Minimi made a super in-depth video that talks about the conception of Darkened Sky, and even managed to contact some of the developers. So I highly suggest you check it out if you want to know more detail. But in short, publishers Simon & Schuster have created a number of low-budget PC titles, including such classics as Panty Raider or Who Wants to Beat Up a Millionaire.
Oh, fuck.
But most importantly, they bagged a deal with the Mars Company and bought the rights to create two M&M Advogame titles. M&M's The Lost Formula, which was released on the PlayStation as M&M Shell Shock, and M&M Blast on the Game Boy Advance. Now, with these games doing pretty well in their own rights, Simon & Schuster soon returned to Mars and asked to buy the rights to produce a Skittles game, and thus Darkened Sky was born. Now, what's most weird about the game was the fact that you'd have no idea it was related to Skittles in any way. I mean, there's no Skittles on the box art or even in the game description. In fact, the only giveaway is the tiny Skittles brand name and speech marks in the small legal print on the back of the box. It genuinely disguises itself as a budget fantasy adventure game. Well, why exactly is this? I mean, surely if Mars had a product attached to the game, they'd want the branding plastered all over it like every other Adva game out there.
This is a green Skittle.
But yet, there's nothing. I mean, Pepsi Man didn't specifically have the title on the box art, but it was pretty clear that the game was tied to the brand.
Drink Pepsi!
Well, it's important to note Simon & Schuster approached Mars and paid them for the rights to use Skittles in the game. Mars approaching the publisher and paying for product placement in the title. Meaning Simon & Schuster...
That'll be all for today's video. Please like it, please dislike, please thumbs down the video and do not subscribe.